So what we're going to be talking about tonight, of course, is Title 4D. What it's all about, child support, how to challenge child support if you feel it's being unfair, which is the case in a lot of situations. I've been dealing with child support for a minute. Not that I don't take care of my kids, but you know how sometimes it happens. Relationship go bad, child support. Things happen in life, child support. But in reality, child support, Title 4D is just like another business. Anybody can have a Title 4D company if you meet the federal standards. Mainly is operated on the state level, but it's a federally funded program. A lot of people believe or think that it's the state, it's the state, it's the state. Yes, the state mandates child support, whatever state you may be in. I'm in Georgia, but it's a federally funded program, and they get incentivized for as much money they can bring in. We're gonna touch on that, maybe not tonight because there's a lot of stuff going to Title 4D. So I'm gonna go through these few little slides, try to give you some information. It's real eye opening. I'm currently going through it as we speak. My case actually has been bound over to the federal court because once I brought up the due process and violations of that, the Georgia Constitution, those are real deal things. I mean, and states can't skip over procedural safeguards. They just can't skip over them. And if we don't say nothing, they ain't gonna say nothing. But we're gonna get into all this. So first of all, let's get into my slides, okay? So Title 4D, all right, aka child support. I'm all about protecting our rights, challenge unfair child support, but take care of our kids. My main thing is like, you know, the people get into our business, whatever the case may be. It may be a bit messed up relationship, may be a divorce, whatever the case may be. We had these kids in private, whether it was at the Motel 6 or in the college dorm room somewhere. We created these kids in private so we can take care of our kids in private. We don't need outside people handling getting into our affairs, quote unquote. And believe it or not, Title 4D is actually a program just like a child food stamp or Medicaid or something like that. It's a program that has to be applied for. It has to be applied for. All right. So let's get into it. So first slide, my first Title 4D slide. So intro to Title 4D. All right. Title 4D is a part of the Social Security Act. I'm not gonna go into that in this lesson. Next Monday, I'm gonna go into how you can actually pull up the actual Title 4D standards and implications that you got to follow by in the Social Security Act. It's right there in our face. And specifically in Georgia, and actually all states, Georgia have its own set of rules that mimic the Title 4D standards. So once you kind of get into the minutia of this and kind of see like, man, this stuff it really is voluntary. I mean, you may have been searching online about child support, paying child support, participating in the program is a voluntary program. It's not nothing mandatory, not none of that type of stuff. It's a voluntary program, especially if you did not sign the proper documentation. Remember the application you have to apply for. We're gonna get into that. All right, so it provides federal funding, just like I meant before. I spoke on before about federal funding, and it's a state program that's federally funded, meaning that. Let me do this right quick. I see somebody trying to send me a message, so let me do this real quick. A federally funded program that is operated at the state level. So once you understand, let me send this message right quick. Bear with me 1 second. Operated at the state level, and their whole thing is implementing or enforcing child support payments. What most people don't understand is, who is this? Keep on trying to send me this message. What most people don't understand is child support whole function is to collect funds, not for the sake of the children or the other parent. It's for their own well-being, meaning that it's for to get the money back if the person was on food stamps or Medicaid or something like that. It's to get the money back. It's not for the betterment of the child. There's plenty of case laws out there. I'm not gonna get into the case laws right now, but there's plenty of case laws out there that speak on how child support was is not meant for the child. The children or the other parent does not have rights to child support. It was even the case right here in Georgia when the some women got together and tried to sue child support, saying that they didn't give them their payment. Then they came back and said, "We really don't have to give you nothing." That's why when that payment comes through on that card, whatever card they may have, it's a percentage of the payment. It's a percentage of the payment. It's not the complete payment. All right, let me do that. All right, we're done with that. So that's kind of like the whole gist of Title 4D as far as the payment part. Yes, they are coming after you for payments. All right, but their concern is not the child. Their concern is not if the other parent is getting the money. That's not really their concern. And believe it or not, when we go to these court hearings, whether it be administrative court or the judicial court, they're there to represent the state in trying to collect the funds. And sometimes the other parent will show up at the courtroom thinking they're there for them. They not studying none of that at all. So we're gonna get more into that later on. All right, so let's go to my next slide. Now, when we start talking about Title 4, when we start talking about the purpose of Title 4D, like I just mentioned before, the main purpose of Title 4D is to generate federal funding for state child support enforcement programs, not directly to ensure financial support for the children. Like I just said, it's a case out there about that. I want to say it is Blessing versus Freestone. You can Google that, and it tells you pretty much says the Supreme Court the child support is not for the betterment of the children. And believe it or not, in the Social Security Act, when they talk about the Title 4D compliances and rules and stuff like that, they say the other parent is supposed to provide emotional support and financial support. All right, but how many times have you been taken to court for not providing emotional support for your child? Never, ever. It's always about the money. Because believe it or not, it is about the money. But we're gonna talk about some ways to kind of cut that off. Like I've been telling you, I don't know if y'all caught it before, but I'm actually in a federal case right now, and they trying their best to wiggle out of it, but they can't because once you actually see what this law, how the laws work, you can't dispute it. You can talk about all the you don't talk about money first of all, because once you talk about money, you lost. It ain't even got nothing to do with the money. Ain't got nothing to do with us not taking care of our kids. It's about getting the people out your business, and you take care of your kids on your own. We don't need your help. All right. So it aims to recover incurred costs incurred by public assistance programs, prioritizing state reimbursement over direct family support. Like I just mentioned before, is really for to recoup the food stamps or to recoup the Medicaid and things like that. But even with all of that, we are supposed to volunteer for this program. We are supposed to volunteer, meaning that they're supposed to show us everything that we're supposed to sign up for. You got to find a job. You got to do this. Oh yeah, don't remember now. We're going to enforce payments. Sign right here. That's your voluntary participation. It ain't got nothing to do with no magical words or no magical filings. It's simple. And every state has their own rules, but specifically in Georgia, it's so straightforward. In Georgia, it's ridiculous. I wish I can get all the guys who feel they've been unfairly processed through child support in Georgia. I can show you the exact form that I guarantee you they haven't filled out. And that's why my case is in the federal case right now, federal courts right now. All right, so this program establishes a framework for states to enforce child support obligations, primarily to secure funds for state programs. So that last point, Title 4D, they hand down rules, pretty much outline guidelines. Those guidelines are taken by the state, whatever state you're in, and these states create their own rules, which is fine, all right? But what most of us probably get caught up as far as in the minutia of, once we find out we're on child support, you better pay us, we're going to take the child support. Take the driver's license. You better pay us, we're going to arrest you. You got to pay, you're going to do this. So we already caught up into the minutia of, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And we never think about, okay, well, you got me, well, show me where I signed up for this at. This is a federally funded program, right? So that means I got to fill out the application. Show me the application. They can't. They can't show you the application. They take you through these administrative courts, administrative hearings, and stuff like that. And believe it or not, man, that's it. Blessed versus Feast on Chip. Yep, that's it. The case law. That's one of them. And it's one in Arkansas where the girls they got together and tried to sue, and it's one in actually right here in Georgia when they tried to get together and try to sue. They came back and said, "Man, y'all ain't entitled to this money. This ain't really. We just doing it out of GP. We really getting this money back for food stamps and Social Security and all that type of stuff." But anyway, it's so crazy when you start looking into these laws, and it's like it's right there. But if you don't know, you just don't know. Let's go to the next slide. I ain't got many, but I'm gonna try my best to get to some of the questions. Hopefully, y'all can hear me now. All right, so key component. Now, this is the one. This is the like the bread and butter of how you challenge child support. Now, one of the issues that I ran into is I didn't do what they call make good faith efforts. So when you going into the courts, I'm looking over here at the chat. Make sure I don't make nobody check. When you go into the courts, you first will want to make a good faith effort. All right, before you go asking about this documentation, meaning that you send them a letter, go to your post office, send them a certified letter with tracking. Hey, I've been on child support for 20 years, I still, or what have you, however long, and I want to see have you guys, can you provide these documentation for me? All right, most of the time they're going to ignore you and send you some type of how much you owe and how much you got to pay and all that type of stuff. That's fine. One of the things I did inadvertently was I asked for how much I paid in over the years, how much arrears I owe, and all this type of stuff. But as I got more deeper down the road, I started realizing, oh, okay, y'all don't have this documentation that y'all supposed to have. And I started coming up on words like void ab initio and ultra virus action. Okay, void ab initio meaning that it's void from the beginning, meaning that the day you enter me into this child support agreement or whatever you want to call it, oh no, not agreement, what, have me paying these child support payments, and you didn't have the proper documentation, it's void out to that day. So, for example, if you've been paying in for 15 years and you finally decide you want to challenge, well, you can challenge constitutional rights anytime, and it comes out that they didn't do the proper thing from day one, you can get reimbursement. I'm in federal court. I'm just going to leave it at that. All right? So, it's ways to get around. It's ways to get to that, stuff like that. So, anyway, that personal responsibility contract. So, next Monday, we're going to go into the actual act. You actually can pull this up on Google. It ain't hard to pull it up. But I ain't going to say it ain't hard. But you do got to look because it's in there. Pull up the Social Security Act. You go to a certain section. It speaks specifically to this right here. It speaks specifically to it. This personal responsibility contract. All day long. Get my yellow. It speaks specifically to it. And what it's going to say is you're personally responsible for all these things in the contract. And believe it or not, that's a major due process violation. If you are participating in something, and it's in any contract really, and you're not aware of all of the rules in the contract, that's a due process issue. All right, the due process. That's one of the main things we can kind of get our child support issues handled and under control. All right. Like I said right on the second point, it is a signed agreement. A signed agreement, meaning it need to be somewhere. Somebody needs to have it somewhere, okay? Somebody need to be somewhere. Somebody need to have this documentation. If you ain't got it, okay, no problem. I'm gonna give you a few more days to see can you find it. Showing your good faith effort. You want to do the good faith effort. All right? Even request administrative hearing. Hey, when you go before a lawyer most of the time that has a black cloak on, that's not really the court. That's the administrative hearing court. But that's okay. They can work in your favor too. Y'all been taking these payments from me. Can y'all give me this documentation? If they ain't got it, guess what? That's when you go to the courts. But I kind of, in Georgia, it's a way you don't have to really go through the administrative court because that's kind of like an extra process. Because once they got it, once they don't have it, they don't have it. They can't create it. Because current filings doesn't cure past ultra-virus actions. Meaning that if you've been paying in for 15 years and they try to file something to say, okay, here you go right here. No, okay, well, it starts from this day. My child is 15 now. I got 3 more years. Okay, but what about all that 15 years you've been taking money from me or having me pay into something that I didn't sign up for? Ultra-virus action. Void from the beginning. All right. So, and then they talk about the medical bills and all type of stuff. That's actually a part of the Social Security Act. Once you sign up for it, or a court official, even an attorney acting as that's it. Yep, exactly. Or a court official. Yep. They not quote unquote judicial judges. They just a whole man. It's so serious over here in Atlanta. Our main in Georgia rather. The main administrative office in Georgia is downtown. Okay, so one of the packages I help the guys with around here in Georgia, and I'm pretty sure it's in all states, is I call it the silver bullet. And I don't know if y'all remember the folklore behind the silver bullet. The silver bullet kills the werewolf, right? So what I'm showing the guys is how you do all the legwork first. You go check. Anybody can do this in any state. You check the Secretary of State website to see if there are any liens against you as far as child support. All right, that's one. And then you in Georgia, you'll go down to the administrative office in downtown, or you can email them. I tell people to email them to create that paper trail. Put all your information there. Do I have any administrative orders? Do I have any administrative hearings? Can I have those transcripts? All right. Most of the time, you don't have any of that type of stuff because in most states you got to have an administrative order to take your driver's license. But what most systems do, and I'm gonna go to the next slide in a minute. Well, how the system's set up, it automatically take your driver's license at 1,500, right? Take your passport at 2,500. It automatically does that. So we get so caught up until, oh, I got to get my driver's license back, I got to do this back, and not even thinking about you can't do that. You have to get me proper notice. I got to have a hearing. How do you know I might be homeless? You got to give me a poverty hearing. You got to do all these protocols and steps before we even get to that point. But we get so caught up into the minutia that we don't even challenge them like that. And believe it or not, man, I'm not. No, like I said from the beginning, this is not about not taking care of our children. It's about getting these folks out of our business, pretty much. And if you ain't gonna, if you want to do this, okay, show me all the paperwork that I did this right. And most of the time, they can't do it. They can't do it at all. Let me go to the next slide real quick, because I got it laid out in some of these slides. So now, when we get into the process, all this, the process, the actual process is actually in the Social Security Act, which we're going to talk about next Monday at 7. And it talks about how there's a process. One of the parents go down, most likely, or more times than not, is the female. She'll go down. The Dear Colleague letter from the Justice Department, yeah, they most definitely talk about that in the Dear Colleague letter. But the thing about the Dear Colleague letter is like, okay, y'all, we showing y'all that y'all doing wrong. It's on us to actually dig more deeper into what they specifically talk about. Go get the law that supports us, and then go into the courts. But after your good faith effort, that good faith effort will save you a whole lot. Because like I said, it's been over almost a year and a half now. I've been going back and forth, getting my head knocked off. What I did was I went straight into the courts, and the first thing they're going to say, oh, he didn't exhaust his administrative remedies, he didn't show a good faith effort, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. Okay, all right, you got that. Now I need to go through the proper protocols. You can send a letter, like I tell people in Georgia, I tell them to send all the information to the main child support office downtown. They can write it to whatever office you in Georgia. And I'm pretty sure it's the same in different states. Send it there. They can accept the mail, they can accept process server, they can accept everything in the main child support office. That way you ain't got to worry about getting confused. At first, I was paying process servers to go to the little small child support office, and they can't even serve there. So I'm end up losing that money. Oh man, okay, I didn't know that. You have to serve them at the main child support office. Now they serve, all right. But we're gonna get into it in a little bit more. So back to the process. Okay, so once the person get an application, keyword application. Once they get an application, right? Now, okay, I don't. Here go other parent's name, the other parent this, the other parent that. They do an investigation. They use the parent locator system. If you got a driver's license, you're in the system. If you got any of these type of things, they can find you. Okay, cool. But even once that's done, it's kind of like an automatic process. On the state level, legally, they can do that on the state level, and that's the first. That's the first thing they're gonna holler. Oh, by law, we can do this on the state level. Yeah, you're right. Okay, but in order, you are a federally funded program, so you're supposed to be in compliance with Title 4D. Now I know I'm supposed to have a consent form that I sign, person's responsibility contract that I sign, or even better yet, show me the application where I apply for this federal program. They can't do it. All right, but we're gonna get more into that as we roll this thing out. Like I said, I'm gonna be trying to do this every week because the more I share, the better it is. That the captain help me stay on top of it. I'm trying to streamline the process, which I think I got a pretty good streamline on how you can just challenge, move forward to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. I mean, I'm talking about If in the perfect world, you're talking about at least 30 to 90 days, you'll have some relief. Probably before that, if you have to do what they call a preliminary injunction. But we'll talk about that next time. All right, this is kind of like the step by step on ways that you can get, challenge child support and fight back. Because like I said, we're not trying to not take care of our kids. We just trying to say, look here, man. I didn't sign up for this. I know it's a lot of us saying that. I ain't signed up for this. All right, so like the first step I'm saying, you demand the proper documentation. All right, you demand the proper documentation. All right. Most of the time, they're gonna send you what you owe. They're gonna send you your child support payment. They're gonna send you all this type of stuff. If you don't pay by then, they're gonna do all this type of stuff to try to threaten you to continue participating in the program. Just being a mule, paying the money, and keeping and don't raise no noise. All right. But once you start asking for documentation, and believe it or not, some of these agents and case managers, they don't even know what the documentation is. They just got the job, went through the training, and don't even understand the actual nuances of what needs to be done properly. I done came across, I want to say about four different agents that don't even understand the process for real. They don't even understand it. They just doing what they were taught to do. There ain't nothing against them. Scare tactics, exactly. That's all they use is scare tactics. And I'm be honest, it worked. It worked. If you don't know, you don't know. I can't lose my driver's license. One of the guys I'm helping, he was a truck driver. Went to the Philippines for vacation. Driver license suspended. Now his whole trucking business messed up. But even then, you're supposed to give him a warning. Here go your hearing. You want a hearing? Give your hearing. Okay, I can't afford it. Poverty hearing. Okay, they're supposed to do all this type of stuff before they take your property. That's not the case law. I think that's in Blessed versus Freestone too. TJ, I think that is about the property. Okay, you request a full accounting of arrears. The reason why I tell people to do this, if you owe arrears, let me give me a little sip of water. Request a full accounting of arrears and how much you done paid in over the years. The reason why you want this, because you want to think about the long game, all right? Because if you're gonna start this process, you might as well go all in. Believe it or not, it doesn't cost a lot of money. You don't need a lawyer at all. You really don't. It ain't nothing but a lot of back and forth paperwork in the correct order. Not that I know it perfectly, but it just proper paperwork and patience and making sure you just take your time with it. The reason why I got this in here about requesting all the arrears and the money that you done paid in, because if you make it all the way to the court, right, and let's say they can't prove it, they can't provide the proper documentation, your case, you want to get your case dismissed and void ab initio, meaning void from the beginning. A lot of guys going in, they getting their case dismissed. Okay, good, I'm off child support. Now can I get my money back? It's too late. Well, it ain't too late. It's just a little bit harder. You want to get it dismissed and void ab initio. Void from the beginning. Y'all can look that up. Void from the beginning. Void ab initio. That way, once it's void from the beginning, and you get an actual judgment with void from the beginning, now you can come back for your motion of reimbursement. How much I paid in? Oh yeah, I requested that back in such month. Here got the list right here. Boom. I need all that, plus emotional distress, plus heart humiliation. All that stuff goes into play when they violating constitutional rights. And I'm pretty every state got some type of. I know in Georgia it's Article 1, Paragraph 1 files the constitutional rights and due process. But I'm pretty sure every state got that. All right, request for your full how much you've been paying over years, and then you want to leverage the state and the federal law, state and the federal. Sometimes you just go in with federal, which is cool, but it's kind of like better to kind of layer it in with state. Like I know the state law. I know the state law in Georgia and the federal law, of course, that what they're supposed to have the consent forms. Once you layer in on like that, okay, well you have this, or we ain't got the other one, or you got the other one and you ain't got this. Most likely they ain't gonna have neither one of them, but they're just a part of it. Let's go to this next slide. Like I said, I ain't gonna keep it on here too long. I actually started late trying to get my microphone right, but I got it now. So the USPS post office is gonna be one of your main things. All right. I know everybody probably stay close to a post office. I hope so anyway. But that's gonna be your first step. I actually got the little template letters. I ain't got it on this slide, but y'all can just feel free to reach out on Facebook or whatever, and I'll send you that. That ain't no big deal. You just gotta fill in your own name and information and send it to your main child support office. When you're requesting certain documentation, verify the existence of them. The PRC, administrative order. And believe it or not, one guy, he didn't get served properly. He didn't get served properly. Okay, you have to be served properly. You got to be on notice that you on child support, or you have a hearing coming up and all type of stuff. And they supposed to have all this stuff on record. That's where I'm at right now. I want all the internal email. When I say I'm at now, I want all the internal emails. Every time I've been served, every time I had a hearing. I already know you ain't got no hearing because that's a part of my civil bully package. But I tell people to do all the leg work first. Before you go acting for this stuff, you go do all the leg work first. You go say, okay, I went down to the administrative office. I got all my hearings. I got all my orders. I went down to, well, I know I ain't signed on a contract. I know that for a fact because I've been with me for all my life. and you have all this in your pocket, and that's your silver bullet. Okay? Now, you know for a fact they ain't got this stuff. Now you just put that silver bullet in your pocket, and you just go through the process. You request the documentation because you know they ain't got it. All right? And when they try to fabricate something, you already got it. They like, man, y'all ain't got this. Okay? They come on with it. You just hit it with the silver bullet at the end. The silver bullet is going to be when they go to the judicial court, and you hit them like boom with the complaint. A lot of people try to go in and do motions. Motions is cool, but you asking the court to make this person move. You asking the court to make the other person move. All right. Now, what I've learned, I did the motion way too. Don't get me wrong, and I'm not a lawyer, so don't listen to none of what I'm talking about. I'm just telling you what I learned from studying so much and going through this stuff. When you file a complaint, now they got to respond. All right, they got to respond. In Georgia, it's 30 days. I want to say in Texas, my brother, one of his homeboys, it's 20 days. In Georgia, it's 30 days, and then they have a 15-day grace period. But in 30 days, it's default, meaning it's a default judgment. All right. In Georgia, after the 30 days, they have a 15-day grace period to where they have to file a motion to open the default back up. Now, the sweet part about filing the complaint is, and why you want to do that complaint right, which I help people out with that too, is you want to make sure you got everything that you are requesting, whether it be the documentation, whether in what rights that been violated, whether you want compensation, what kind of emotional stress you're going through, what kind of reputational harm you're going through. List all this in your original complaint. Make sure it's all listed out. Once they get served with their complaint, wherever they may be at, out here in Georgia's main child support office, now they got 30 days to respond. The pressure is on. Whoever the DA or defense attorney in that area, they'll get the notice. You got a case you got to go deal with. You got 30 days to respond. What sometimes happens with the motions is people have filed motions to dismiss, a motion to vacate, a motion this, a motion that, which is fine. But you're asking the courts to get this person to a hearing and compelling them to answer or whatever the case may be. With a complaint, it's an official document. It's officially filed with the Secretary of State. The clerk of court. Now, once they get served, now you have an official complaint. What you gonna do? We need to get an answer to this. It's called a complaint. Then they have to get an answer. And most of the time, what they try to holler is immunity and all this type of stuff. I got all that covered. Well, I ain't gonna say I do, but from learning from people around, I got all that covered. Because they are entitled for the program and they accept money, all the immunity is over with. And plus, you don't get no immunity once you violate constitutional rights. But that's something that we're gonna talk about on down the line. Like I said, we're gonna be doing this every week as much as I can on Monday nights. That's my little boy got a dojo fight or something like that. He's an MMA fighter. Okay. This is going to be your main one, the due process. This is going to be one of the main ones. All right. But no. The complaint doesn't have to have a no. So when you're filing a complaint, it doesn't have to be like one in back up. Correct. There has to be an injured party, and the injured party is you because you got one of your constitutional rights were violated. It's gonna be a complaint and due process type of thing. It ain't gonna be just a complaint on its own. You always gonna tie it to the slide we on now. Due process. Always gonna tie it on the due process. And the reason why you're gonna be so confident with going in with due process because you did all of your due diligence. I know I didn't get served properly, or for example, I know I didn't sign this contract. So if I didn't sign this contract, this PRC, they didn't provide this to me. That's a violation of my due process rights. Then you come in with your blessed versus freestone. Then you come in with your Wilker. I got all this stuff written down. We're gonna talk about more of the case law next week, but you come in with all these different case laws. Now they can't get around it. So the injury is violation of due process. That's why I got this on here. That's gonna be your main one. You want to stay with. I mean, you can add more on there. Like with mine, I got due process, and believe it or not, one of my case managers, the child support case manager, she changed the documentation. Like I wasn't gonna notice. He whited it out and put something else in there. Like I wasn't gonna notice it. So I got something else going on here. But I'm just using this as leverage, and that can be something else. So we're gonna talk more about this next week. Is how you can file your complaint, right? And you put the case manager inside of your complaint, meaning you want to sue the child support people, the child support office, and the case manager, the person's name, whoever your case manager is, you put that in as well. And as the case goes on, and it gets to the way they can't prove their documentation, you come back with this strategy. Okay, this is where we at. Y'all can't prove it. Y'all violate my due process violation. If y'all agree to this, I'll dismiss the charges on the individual person. That's a little strategy that I learned from one of the lawyers here in Atlanta. It was kind of nice too. I was like, dang, I didn't even think about it like that. He said, man, you push that like you finna sue her and Georgia Child Support. And when you get to what I'm at now, okay, this is my damages. And if we agree to this, I dismiss the charges on the individual person. Now they're in a conundrum. Dang, do we want to keep on going, or we gonna throw up under the bus? So that's a little technique or whatever. But you're right. Once the injured party, and I'm not a lawyer, but it's just because I did it 2 or 3 times now, 4 times actually, because I got my head knocked off the first 2 times because I was filing too much, and they called it frivolous filing. The injured party is going to be the violation of your due process rights. That's why I got this up here. Identify and contest any procedural missteps, such as lack of notice or improper service or documentation. So you were saying, what is summons, complaint, proof of service, judgment, and something. So, wow, that's a good point, right, TJ. But even in your when you go to file your one of the lawyers teaching me about how you do your proposed order, that make you look even more organized. So, for example, make sure everything that you do in your original complaint, and you get down to let's say you get down to a judgment, a default judgment, if they don't respond, you also file a proposed order, meaning that this is for the judge to look at. So he ain't got to think about nothing. All he gonna do is just look at it and say, okay, his proposed order matches his complaint. He originally wanted this in the complaint. The proposed order says this, and you want to put in your reimbursement, all that type of stuff in your proposed order. And once he signed that order, now you can come back with your motion for reimbursement and all that type of stuff. And it don't take long. It don't take long at all. You got to be specific about. Well, let me back up. The main piece is the complaint. That's gonna be your main piece, because I've seen some of the guys, they have a complaint, but they talking about all other type of stuff, and then as they get on down the line, they try to bring something else up. The judge like, no, you can't do that. So I'm listening, and this is from me sitting in some of the courthouse. I sit over in Fulton County sometimes, and I go down here and sit in Fayette County sometimes just to listen to some of the stuff they're talking about. And I noticed that, of course, the judge will have a lot of stuff on his plate. Divorces, alimony, other child support cases, all type of stuff. So if you come in, or you did all your due diligence, you did all your good faith efforts, right? You didn't try to resolve this before I got to the court. You show all this gonna be attached to your complaint. Your first letter, your second letter, proof of service, all that type of stuff. So when the judge get the file, he gonna say, okay, this person really tried to solve this. We not just in here just because somebody just trying to file a suit. This is like he really been trying to fix this out. Handle this out. Now you come in with some strength. They gonna see that, okay, this person is really, he ain't trying to, just get over somebody. He really didn't try to solve this. But we do all of this with confidence after we go through our what I call the silver bullet package. We do all the legwork first. Any orders, administrative orders, any notices. Can you please tell me how much I paid in over the years? Can you please tell me the last time I had a review? Because actually the reviews is actually in Title 4D as well. Can you show me the application that I filled out? Can you show me the contract that I signed? Okay, you can't show that? Okay, I know it take a long time. I gave you 10 days for that. I'm going to give you another notice, and I'm going to actually do this within 5 days. Still get no answer. There's 2 times you done tried. Good faith effort. Now we're going into the courts. Like I tell people, when I help guys out, I already tell them off the rip. Look to pay. We getting kind of to the monetary stuff because it ain't. You got to have a little money. You look to pay 150 for service, and in a minimum of I say around about 250 to file. So there's already $400 you got to pay right there. But it's gonna be well worth it. In my opinion, I think it's well worth it. 150 to serve, 250 to file. And I'm pretty sure it's something similar around other states. You might find a better person to serve it for you in whatever state you're in. But in Georgia, 150 to serve, 250 to file. That's it. As far as the upfront money, that's $400. You got to look. You did all the due diligence now. You're confident about yourself. You know you got a case. It ain't nothing you just filed and hoping something work. You know you got a real case because you did your background. You did your due diligence. Now you can go in with some confidence. Go ahead and scrape up that 150. I got a server. Wow, I use the server down here in Griffin. He serves anywhere we want to for $50. But for 150, and he goes straight down, serve it. You go online, file your documentation, and it's a complaint. Once they get served, that 30 days start. They on the clock. They own the clock. All right, so let me go to the next one right quick. Next slide. We're ready to get on about it. We ain't gonna be here too much longer. But the common issues, like we've been mentioning, is sometimes we'll get documentation that ain't got no signatures on it and all types of. All we know is I owe money and they're gonna lock me up if I don't pay. So the failure to properly serve is going to be a big one. The incorrect arrears calculation is going to be a big one because, believe it or not, even if you have a judicial order, let's say for example it was a divorce or something like that, and they have an actual judicial order, right? And child support services get that order by law. Most state law they can start collecting payments, right? But that can even be challenged because most of the time, and this stuff that we're gonna start talking about as the weeks going by, you have to have a child support calculation attached to the order to make it official. You just can't say, okay, I got an order. He said I got to pay $1,000 a month. No, it has to be a child support calculation attached to the order and filed. Now, I learned this from actually sitting in the courthouse over here in Fayette County when the judge, he got upset because the guy was paying his child support like he's supposed to. But then he said something like sideways, like, well, I don't even see a calculation sheet attached. This isn't even official. He slid off of it, but he told the guy to go sit down with such lady and do your child support calculation and then refile it. So I'm like, refile it for what? So I'm thinking like, okay, it's supposed to be an official Georgia, not Georgia, anyway, a child support calculation attached to the child support order. Go do my research. There it is, right there in front of your face. In order for an official child support order to be official, it has to have an attached child support order, and if it don't, it's void. It's void. Void from the beginning. Void from the beginning. All right. Let's keep on rolling before we get on out of here. All right. So, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. It's actually right on time too. So, like I said, this is my first Facebook Live. I'm gonna start sharing this information. Eventually, I'm gonna start showing and tell you about the actual cases that I'm going through. My case is actually got moved to the federal court, and it's a good thing because in some ways they see like this is like due process. Really, you can go straight to the federal court if you want to. Yeah, it might sometimes be easier in the federal court because states they try to hold to their state laws and all type of stuff, and they acknowledge federal laws, which they're supposed to. But just about in every state, there is a due process in every state constitution. So you can also attack due process on the state level, and of course you can touch it on the federal level, which is what my case is right now. And we're gonna start sharing this information and get it out there because it's several guys all around the internet that talks about this stuff, but I'm a real life person. I'm like when I say real life, meaning that after I get out of it, me and my son gonna go in the garage and work out and do a little garage workout right quick. Walk the dog before we go to lay down. And I just felt that it was good to kind of share this information. Believe it or not, my office is actually at the child support office over here in East Point. They on the second floor, I'm on the first floor. So it's kind of how I see the guys coming in there. They all be all distraught. I'm like, man, god dog. But anyway, so feel free to reach out, share this video. Let people see it, and we're gonna try to start sharing this information on how we can kind of start moving this thing on down the line. Like TJ was saying, the injury is going to be violation of one of your rights. And the reason why you're gonna go in so confident, like I tell people, you gotta do your due diligence first. You ain't gotta get no attitude with them or nothing. Simple letter. One letter to give them 10 days, another letter give them 5 days. Or just do one letter and go straight to the court. That's a good faith effort. That's really good enough. That's all you need. But I always tell people to do two, so you can show some real diligence that you tried to solve this before we got to the court. And when you go into the court, you're going in on the civil side. You're going in on the civil side. All right. Once they get that complaint and it's served, they see the injury, that you did your due diligence, you did your good faith effort. Now you got the answer. If they don't answer, guess what? Default judgment. And the default judgment, everything you said in your original complaint is construed. All well pleaded allegations are admitted. That's what it is. All well pleaded allegations are admitted in the original complaint. So anyway, I appreciate y'all stopping in. A few people that did stop in. I'm glad y'all did. I had a little technical issues at first, but I think I got it now. Feel free to chat back in next week. Next week we're gonna go more into the Social Security Act and actually show this stuff. Like, I'm not just making this stuff up. I actually dug down to the Social Security Act where you can see the personal responsibility contract, and that contract have different variations in different states. In Georgia, it's called the Georgia Consent Form. Paragraph. I think I got a video out there about it. It's right there. After the investigation, the other parent have to sign a consent form, and this consent form is supposed to lay out all the stuff you're supposed to be doing. Got to stay looking for a job or stay working. Participate in some type of skills. Pay child support payments. Participate in the parent low gain program. All this stuff is in a contract, but of course nobody ain't signed that contract. And when we start getting deeper into it, it's probably why my case in the federal case court now, I asked them what an application is. Because if you want to apply for food stamps, you got to go fill out an application. Need Medicaid, you got to fill out an application. Because food stamps and Medicaid, I think, is Title A. I can't remember what the other one is. I think the other one is Title B or something like that. Title, whatever it is. But either way, all those programs are federally funded programs, and you have to fill out an application. Title D, okay, what's my application? The application for the other parent B, when they go down to the child support, they have to pay that $35, which is another major form of funds. Just imagine 1 million people signing up for child support around whatever state you're in. Times $35. One of the second most major income producers is applications. Where my application is? I ain't fill out no application. Show me the application. Well, no. Okay, if I did agree, even if I did agree to something and I signed it, that wasn't the proper application, because if I did sign it, it's still supposed to be formalized. Anybody can find and sign the documentation, but it has to be formalized to an administrative hearing and administrative order. But anyway, I appreciate y'all stopping by, man. No problem, Michael, man. Hey, we gonna buff this thing on out. Like I said, I'm going through it as we speak right now. So as I move further down the line, I'm gonna start showing y'all some of the stuff I did and some of the stuff I had to deal with. Matter of fact, next week I might show y'all how I got my head knocked out the first time. I filed probably about 50 files. And you don't want to do that, because they'll say you filing frivolous motions and that dismiss your case. So it's been a journey, but I'm almost there. But I'm to the point to where I know, okay, yeah, I got something for real. But anyway, we'll holler at y'all later on, man. Peace out. Thank you for stopping by.